All right, so in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through this tutorial and what you can kind of do with this when you're doing it. So let's just use the rectangle tool. I am going to make a square here, and then I'm just simply going to click R for rotate. I'm going to set my rotation in the corner here simply just by clicking, and I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to hold down Option as I do it so it makes a copy of it. And then I'm going to keep the rotation in the center and drag another copy, and then hold down Option. And you can see I can perfectly align those there. Really great use of the rotate tool. Let's do again. I'm going to grab a line, right? So the shortcut with that is the slash. And I'm just going to draw a line like so. We're going to make sure it has a stroke on it. So here's a little keyboard shortcut. I can hit D and then hit the slash or question mark key, and it'll get rid of the white fill and just leave me with the black outline. And now what I'm going to do is, again, hold down rotate. And what I'm going to do is start to drag and rotate it, hold down the Option, and then shift to make sure it's at 45. Or even better, right? Even better than that is I know it's going to scale from the center. So all I'm going to do is hit Enter. And I'm going to say rotate that 45 degrees and copy. And then do Command D and Command D. And it'll make that star shape. That's there. All right. So now we're going to do this. Now this is all using the rotate. You could use reflect also. You could use a mixture of them. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to make a diagonal line. And I know it's at 45 just because I said it, but let's say you didn't. I held down Shift to make it at 45, so I know that. That'll help us when we make our rectangles. Now again, I don't care what this looks like, just two rectangles on either side, perfectly in the center, and a triangle. So I'm just going to kind of get rid of those. And you can do this too. It doesn't need to be perfectly aligned. And what I'm going to do is hit R for rotate, hit Enter, and hit 45 degrees, and then OK. And then I'm just going to make sure that that aligns like that. Okay, we can kind of zoom in, and you can kind of play with how that's aligning. There we go. So now what I want to do is I want to rotate it, but I want to rotate it right from that corner. So again, hit R, make sure we find that anchor that's there, and click. And I'm going to click and drag and then hold down Option to make sure it's perfectly aligned. Right? This is why rotate is so great. So now I'm going to take my polygon. I'm just going to click, and we're going to draw 3 sides. So I'm going to zoom in here and make sure that this point is kind of right in the center. And then what I'm going to do is let's reflect this. So I'm going to use my reflect tool. I could also hit O. And I'm going to set my point right there. So I'm going to hold down Option and click. And I'm going to say, you know what? What does that look like if I flip it horizontally? Yes, that's exactly what I want. And then do copy. Look at how easy that was. All right. You may look at this and say, whoa, that's really confusing. Let's go ahead and draw our rectangle first. Okay. And then we're going to draw our line. And we're going to try to draw our line so it's perfectly in the center of our shape. So let's get rid of this so we can see. One way to really do this, and we'll talk about the Align tool, is we're going to drag both of those. We're going to click on Align, and we're going to say, you know what? These objects should be aligned center, just so they're centered. And we'll get more into detail what those do, but that's a really great function. If you don't have it up at the top here, you can go to Window, Align, and it's right here, Align Objects, Align to Center. All right, so we're looking at that, and I need 2 half circles on either side and a triangle. So let's go ahead and make that. So right now what I have is I have those 2 shapes, and if we've learned anything from We're going to make sure, right, that intersects like that, which is great. Now, I could cut this. I could simply just use my direct selection tool and simply just click on the right side of the circle and hit delete and hit this point here, and you can see it deletes it, right? So not up in here. So if I have my circle selected, I grab the white arrow tool and simply just click this right-hand point and hit delete. It'll give me that circle. Let's go ahead and fill it. So swap it. Now, here's what's really great. So we're going to take our reflect tool O. We're going to hold down Option. We're going to click on the center path here because this is where we want it to rotate it from, or to reflect it from. And then say reflect vertically, and you can see it switch it all the way to the other side, and then you do copy. Right? And the same thing then with the triangle to do that. Now, the only trick with this, so you're going to replicate it again, do it again. The only trick with this one is these triangles here. So let's just take a look at these triangles. We're going to make a polygon. I'm just going to rotate it so it fits here. The only thing we're doing here with these, and let's just do it out here so you can see it, is I'm going to move this off to the side. I'm going to use the scale. I'm going to hold down Option, make sure I see the word pass show up, and I'm going to say 60%. Okay. And then I'm going to move this again, scale, 60%, okay. Just kind of dragging it. That's all I'm doing, just to make those shapes. And then I grabbed all of those. All right, so let's say it's here. I'm going to use the reflect tool, so I'm going to hit O on my keyboard, hold down the Option or Alt key, make sure I'm on that center path, click on that, do vertical, do copy, and now we have it reflected on both sides. All right, last thing we're going to do here is if you have a circle, let's get rid of these because I know what we're doing here. If you have a circle, right, and we're just going to scale it, I'm just going to simply hit S and enter. Or you could double click on the scale tool, gives me the same option. Let's go 60% and copy, and then do Command D, and it makes that target symbol. But let's say you wanted to do that, but you wanted to do that with a triangle. If I just hit scale and do 60% and copy, you can see it's uneven. Well, we don't want that. We want it even on the inside. The only way to get that is this function called offset path. So I'm going to select this, go to Object, Path, Offset Path. And I'm going to say offset it. Now I could just type in a number. You can see the live preview here. Let's do, actually I like that. Let's do a quarter and do OK. Now if I wanted to do that again, right, I could do Command D doesn't do that. It doesn't replicate that offset. So I'm going to have to go every single time and go Path, Offset Path, Enter, Object, Path, Offset Path, Enter. Right? But now what you have is this perfectly set up triangles that are there that you can't get with just this, the scale tool. Now that's only because of all these different connections that are there. So let's take a polygon 5-sided. I have that, and let's do my scale. Let's see if this works. Let's do 60%. Okay. Oops, I didn't do copy. Copy. And you can see that looks pretty good as far as what it is. The triangle really is this shape that just doesn't want to do it. But the offset path is so good for so many things. Rather than just using the scale tool, you could offset just a shape if you know exactly how much you want to offset it. So for example, if I do have that circle and I say, you know what, I just want to offset it a half inch, right? So path, offset path, we're going to type in 0.5. Let's click on our preview and let's do OK. So now I know exactly mathematically that that's right, right? Just different ways you can kind of manipulate that.